Dove here, and today we have a new episode in the art review series. And just a quick update before I go into this episode. It has been a while, and I'm sorry for not posting shit. I mean, I did post a few videos the past week or week and a half, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I was trying to do a bunch of sketches because I don't want this channel to be just an art review channel, because I want to actually make art too. But the thing is, I believe they also talked about a few videos back on toning down on the art reviews somehow, but I kind of don't want to do that because that's how I built my channel, and I have like so many folders of artists that need to be like, it's a waste to just keep it hidden. And I think I don't have to be like other people where I only post art reviews or I only post my art. I can be both, or I can do any kind of, or I can vary up my content if I wanted to, and I should be more okay with that and not be just limited to doing one or the other. So that's just a quick update. I do want to, I guess, continue the art reviews, but at the same time, I want to do more art, because sometimes I'll see comments in my YouTube section. People want to actually, not all, but some of you actually want to see, hey, what can this guy actually do? And I'm like, oh fuck, insecurity. Because I don't really have a solid portfolio. Like I do have a bunch of sketches here and there, but I don't have a body of work. And the artist we're going to review today, I found this guy or chick, or who knows what the but I found this artist way back through Instagram, and I believe this person is a teenager. That's my assumption. But the reason why I want to feature this artist today is because it's very inspiring seeing the work or the body of work that this artist has, because it's very crude. Well, it's beautiful. It's very energetic, but it's also inspiring for me, because I feel like I heard this advice from another YouTuber called Richard Friend. I believe he's an anchor, or he used to be an anchor, a comic book anchor artist guy. Now he's kind of doing his own thing, but he mentioned how you should have like as a tip, you should pick artists that, like, when you look at their work, it makes you want to draw or paint or create something. And I think this guy, this UK_illust19, I mean, that's the name of the folder. So by the way, I'll link all of this artist's links in the description below. But when I look at his work, it makes me want to draw, and I think that's such a cool thing. So we're going to just a quick overview. I don't have the entire body of work that's out there for this artist, but I believe I downloaded this maybe a few months back, or maybe even a year ago. But till this day, just looking at these folders or these pictures, it does make me want to create something. Now, yes, it's very anime, not very, but it is anime focused. But the reason why it's super cool, because if you look at the sketches, it's actually not as clean. And it's always been my thing to not avoid, but it does, like, seeing clean line work isn't really for me, and I feel like we're not pressured, but I think that's the standard, especially when it comes to like Japanese artists. A lot of them, not all, but like the top dogs or cats, they have a lot of clean line work. And if you're not that guy that does clean line work, you don't have to. Maybe you're more of a painter, or maybe you're just more of a sketcher kind of person. And for me, I think I'm more of this kind of guy, or seeing this very quick, strong, direct approach of sketching, I think is super cool. But it's not just the sketch itself. Like, it's a bunch of different things. If you look at the colors, it's just a base color with, say, some shadows, but you have first of all, you have the actual line work, right? It's not even clean line work. It's a very sketchy, loose line work, and I don't even think it has pen pressure. maybe just a bit, but it seems so crude and just so direct. And sometimes it's very shaky, like in this lantern thing. But it's not the only thing that's carrying the piece, I think. We also have, again, the base colors. There's a bit of rendering. A lot of these sketches don't even have that heavy or much of that heavy kind of rendering, but there's a bit of even the actual painting or rendering is a bit crude. It's not super clean. I mean, again, the sketch line is very direct, somewhat loose, and then you have the colors and some basic rendering, and then he does, or she, or this artist does use a lot of blur, oftentimes in the background, or if not the foreground, and like you have all of these kinds of layerings from the loose sketch, or sorry, the loose line work, the loose rendering, the blurs, or some graphic effects sometimes. For example, if you look back, in the background you can see these kind of graphical shapes that kind of, I guess, complement this character right here. I'm not sure where this character is from, but like there's so many layerings to this sort of thing. And some texture brushes, I guess. In the background you can also see within the actual character, and within this I believe this is some kind of monster chick that's attached to him. I forgot this guy's name, but he's from Jujutsu Kaisen. So yeah, you can see a halftone brush here, some sketchy way of rendering here, very abstract or impressionistic, which I do like. But you can see all of these together makes it look so cool. Now this one it doesn't have the background. Yeah, so I think this is much more cleaner and more easier to read. I think the background for this one is a bit too much. I think this is the better one. Some texture, I guess, but it's not. Yeah. The point is, look at how it's not even that like super rendered or super. It's not a wallpaper, but it has that energy, which I do like. I mean, look at the hands. I mean, that's so simple. It's very loose. Like, you get the idea, but all of it combined, it looks so cool. Even the face, the line work is too clean with the eyes, but you have the shadow, you have some variation in terms of the gradient. It's kind of more orangey from this bottom left. You see, there are no shadows for the hair here, so that's kind of weird, but you can see some underlighting for the hair. But like this entire hair is just like a one silhouette of lines, and then the value range is within, but the value range isn't drawn with like line. It's just a bunch of not random, but you get the point. Like all of it together, it looks so freaking cool. It reminds me of one of the sketches of John Wallen Liberto, specifically his Evangelion sketches. Maybe I'll feature it as a pop-up in the video, but it has that same energy, which I do like. The energy remains, like it's not diluted. Is that a word? It's not. It doesn't disappear, because sometimes when you sketch something and then you kind of do a more cleaner line work and then you render it, eventually the final piece becomes somewhat dry, even if it's fully colored and rendered. Sometimes it loses the energy of the original sketch. But this guy, this artist, even if the sketches are not as clean, it still has that vibe of awesomeness. I mean, look at the wings. It's not even that like clean, or right. Like look at the hair, the body. You can even see it's not. It's just not dirty, but it's very direct. But it's still. Oh, you can see some blur here, maybe a bit. Like there's still depth in his or her work. Some dashy, more pencil-like lines here. It feels like a sketch, but at the same time, look at this. Fuck. Again, look at the line sketch. Super simple. There's a bit of breaking, so it feels like a natural, traditional pen. I love the earphones. Look at that. It's so fluid. It's very complimentary to this guy. Oh, he's kind of cute. And yeah, the shadows. Oh, I love the simple value range. You'll see this a lot in anime types of artwork where There's not even that much texture, but they play a lot with the value range. Oh, texture brush right here. Shit. This hair is just two values basically. Oh shit, it's three. Two main values like dark and light, but in this darker value, there's a blue part here. So this could be some underlighting or ambient something. So that's super cool. But even for this, like his sweater, it's two main values or three. Like you have the actual main body, and then the sleeve is in light. This arm sleeve is in light, and then most of his body is kind of in shadow. You can see it's very highlighted here. Even the folds, like he or she, fuck. Like it's all just a bunch of suggestions, which I do like. Maybe the face is the most clean thing. The line work itself isn't clean, but the placement is clean. So that's something that I've also noticed. It kind of makes sense because we do see the face more. So the placement he does, or she, or fuck, this artist does place more emphasis on the face, and the lines are definitely more deliberate and more carefully placed compared to say the body, the clothing, the hair even. So a guy with cat ears, kawaii. Oh wow, reminds me of Demon Slayer a bit because of the markings. Oh, so this is a texture brush, super cool. The line work, maybe this was done through locked pixels. Basically, you draw it in black or any color, and then you can lock the pixels of that line work sketch layer, and then you can just color within that line. You'll see. I remember seeing it in comics. Whenever people or comic artists do highlights, sometimes they'll actually color the black line work. Again, very suggested. You'll notice as you go further down the neck, it's very not as strong compared to the face. So you don't even have to fully or be as consistent. You just have to focus more on the 20%, and that's going to be the face. Like the essential part is usually going to be like 20% of the image. In this case, it's the face. Now he did use, or fuck, this artist did use a, because I don't really know the gender of this person, but yes, look at that blur. You'll see this again in anime stuff as well. Hard edges with some soft edges using the blend tool, I believe, in Clip Studio Paint. I'm assuming this person uses Clip Studio Paint, which is interesting because as much as sometimes there's no texture in this person's work, well, there is, but compared to the usual stuff you see, say on Pixiv, Pixiv, it's like a Japanese portfolio site. It's kind of like ArtStation, but for anime. Textures are usually not, it's not the standard, I guess. Maybe in manga, halftones and such, but the more painterly look, it isn't always, like you have to be more clean, I guess. That's just an observation. But just super cool. This is a Naruto guy, I think. I love how the hair is broken down. It's darker where the light meets the shadow, so that's cool. Even the way the face is done, again, it looks like the actual character, so that's nice. And again, the energy is still there. Some pencil-like strokes. You'll see the halftone brush again, some texture brushes. But it's not overwhelming the piece. Sometimes I do have the habit of overdoing the textures. It's mostly like basic flat colors, and then some complementary graphic halftones with some pencil-like strokes. It all works together, which I do like, and it's very inspiring seeing this kind of work. Here you'll see the actual line work, very loose, very energetic, but I mean, you can always clean it up later, but you don't have to. I guess that's the point, and I think this will really help me, or really inspires me to not be like you can actually create artwork without having to be so tight. So if you're very sketchy, if you're a sketchy kind of artist, then fuck it, be like this person and just sketch away. So here we have the base colors. Even at this stage, it already looks kind of good. I think it's because of the fuck. I think it's because of the placement of the lines. Even if the line work isn't that like pretty, even if there's hardly any line weight, if the placement is good, it's going to be good. And it works because the character itself is also identifiable. So there's going to be a likeness to it. So if you have an attachment to the character, um, it doesn't really matter how. Like the point is, I guess you get who this person is. So here we have base colors. Pretty much. Even the way it's colored, it's not fully clean. Like you can see in the edges, right? It's kind of basic. Look at that! Like fuck me, bro. That's so cool. Imagine a sketchbook of this kind of thing, where you just draw a bunch of shit, where it kind of makes sense, and then you do add a bunch of base colors to lay things out, and then you just make it extra pretty, right? Love the way it's rendered too. Even that. Oh, there's way more texture now because of the rendering. So look at how the folds are done. It's not even that like accurate. The closest thing to accuracy here usually is the face. So, but it's more of a likeness thing. Like the actual features aren't super accurate, but if the likeness is there, in this case, this person is doing a lot of fan art. So I also like fan art, but yeah. So if you're not doing a fan art thing, you're going to have to at least focus on something that people like. For example, a proportionate face, proportionate body, you know, something that people can attach themselves to and kind of hook the viewer. But in this case, it's going to be a proportionate face, but at the same time, it's a character that people kind of know. Naruto, I haven't watched Naruto, but I know who this guy is. I've seen him a lot. It's a bit tighter the way it's rendered in the face. You'll notice here in the pants and even in the hands, the sleeves, it's not as like the edges aren't as clean, you know. Oh, I love the highlights here for the headband thing, the shuriken or something. And look at how graphic this thing is, like the shine, the highlight, very very cool. And in the background, you'll notice there's a bit of graphical stuff there. So you'll see like a loose line sketch, some loose base colors, and then some quick textured rendering with some halftones, texture brushes. Not many. It's just like maybe 2 brushes, like the halftone and like this brush. I guess to add a bit of teeth to the piece, and some graphical elements usually I've seen in the background. All of it together looks amazeballs. It looks amazing, and it's very inspiring. It makes me want to create shit. No idea who this is, but the hair it's a bit more, since it does take up most of this the composition. It kind of makes sense to spend a bit more time with the hair. Even if you check out the actual line sketch, it's still fairly loose. It's very suggestible, very, in a way, impressionistic, very loose, very sketchy. But the placement, it kind of makes sense. You can see a bit of a pony, a braid. It's not a ponytail, it's a braid. I love the anime strand hair, which is a very classic thing. It looks like there are some frills, so maybe this chick is a maid. Who knows? It works because even if the line isn't as clean, compositionally, it looks good, and proportionally, if you look at the face, she does look kind of cute. A bit more line work with the eyes for the lashes and stuff, but because the line is placed well, it reads well, and you're okay with it. Now for the hands, compared to compared to the Naruto guy, it's a bit more deliberate, more placed well. Again, it makes sense because it's a close up of this chick. You can see the texture brush again, so that's cool. But yeah, all in all, It looks amazeballs. But I'm glad that there isn't a graphical thing in the background because I think that will overwhelm the whole sketch. I think this is a great use of negative space. Like even the way the hair kind of coils in this direction. Like shh. And it goes up here. The white, I think it was a good idea. It could have been another complementary color, but I think the point is there are no other graphical elements. It just looks more complete and more solid. Compositionally or composition wise. So close-ups of this Naruto, I guess, characters. Very energetic work. And that's another thing, the dynamic nature of the sketches. Reminds me also a bit of what's his name? I did an art review of the guy. John Kafka a bit. Maybe. Although John Kafka doesn't really show off the lines. Now for this artist, you can definitely see the loose line sketch. Even in the rendering, she'll or this artist will still use this kind of sketchy way of rendering where it's almost like a pencil. So that's super cool. Look at that! Look at the way it kind of stops, like how the light meets the dark. Sometimes people use an orange or something. I think it's called subsurface scattering, where the light kind of penetrates the skin. I think that's how it works. But the line, like the dashy line, it's very direct. I'll say that. And here you can actually see the use of blurs, which adds an extra bit of depth to the entire sketch. And it feels very mixed media, which I do like. Again, the dashy stuff here. I love the lights in the face, like how this part is in shadow. Maybe a blending or the blend tool was used. Texture brushes, a lot of the dashy kind of line work. Not line work, but rendering style. You can see some blurs in the edges. Now in the background, for the lower illustration or sketch, it's some kind of charcoal brush, texture charcoal brush. It kind of works. Yep. For this chick, in the background, there's some watercolor brushes, but it's hard to see. And maybe a couple of splatters to, I guess it feels like because she's moving, I think. Like she's reaching out for something, so it feels like seeing those spectacles or those particles seems like it's moving. And it helps too because there's some blur in it, so sketchy lines again. Now the eye is a bit more rendered, right? Like it's really tight, but it all looks amazeballs. Like especially the pupils, amazing. We've seen this guy. It kind of looks like the haiku guy, the volleyball anime. Although this guy seems so beefy. Ooh. Oh shit, some blur in the bottom. Some under green, like you can see some green under lighting. So imagine if you're watching, oh, this is the haiku guy, I guess. The libero in volleyball. I believe he's that guy. Oh, you can see a bit of noise texture. In the previous one, is there noise? Maybe a bit. It's hard to see. Nice value variety here. It's not that far apart, but just seeing a bunch of like a good solid value range helps to make your thing look more realistic. And I love how the wing kind of drops here at the bottom because it adds even more depth. I heard this from a recent episode from Steve Zabata. He was with Ahmed Alduri, and Ahmed mentioned this quick kind of lesson on like you can add depth by showing the other side of something. So in this case, you can see the first part or the front part of the wing, but also the back side. So seeing this overlaying of like the twisting of the wings helps you to see, or it gives the illusion of depth, I think. So seeing this back part of the wing and then the front side of the wing where it's attached to this guy, It adds a bit of, not a bit, but a lot of depth. And obviously it's darker, so it adds even more depth. But also the blur, which adds even more depth. So that's super cool. I like the hair. Again, is it tight? Is it clean? Is it clean? Look at the wings. It's very sketchy. Again, with the dashy kind of rendering style for some parts. It adds a bit of variety too. So it doesn't always have to be a texture brush. You can actually just draw the texture in. Underlighting, very saturated dark orange. So these are some snapshots, I guess, from the anime. And if you're watching anime, why not make that experience useful by sketching your favorite characters, or if you find a scene interesting or a keyframe interesting, why not just practice sketching out that scene? Some splatter brushes in the background. You can see a blur here, so it feels like this guy is moving. I love the soft light at the top. Again, the placement of the features, the facial features, I think really carries the piece. The depth is definitely there. The variety of texture, well, not much, but the halftone brush definitely is something that's recognizable in this body of work, and the dashy kind of lines, and yeah, the blurs, amazeballs, dashy. Oh, close up again, dashy lines to show the highlights of the sword. Oh, look at the background, very watercolor-esque brush strokes. So it's nice to have, a variety of brushes in your palette. Now this one has way more brush textures than the previous ones. And I don't see a lot of dashy, maybe a bit here with the sword, but it's mostly for the highlights. The line work does seem a bit more, it's still sketchy, but it feels more curvy and not as shaky. So maybe there's more confidence here, who knows, but... Oh, this one, the hand is pretty loose. Jujutsu Kaisen. Dashy again. A noise filter in the end. The blurs are still there. Look at the placement of the facial features, the eyes, the eyebrow, the nose. It really carries the piece. Hooks you in. And it's if you have the blur around the face, and you have a not tight, but a very solid looking face, and you can tell by the proportions, like it feels like the placement of the lines, it's just right. So that's cool. And there's hardly any line work in the face, and that's such a hard thing to do, because the more lines you add to a face, the more older the person looks, and it just ruins the face in a way. So you have to be more deliberate and more careful when it comes to facial features, especially when it comes to lines. Oh, very inky brushstroke. This is super cool. Now this one's more of an oily painterly thing, right? Way more textures in this one, but maybe in the bottom part. But oh, you can see like a graphical element in the background. It means Zero. It's from the Zero film, a recent Jujutsu Kaisen film. Talking about this, it was about this guy, I forgot this guy's name, Yuki something, I think, and his monster babe, or wife, kind of wife, right? Oh, I love this, it's so loose, it's so perfect. Oh, this one seems so clean, like the way it was rendered. I don't see a lot of brush strokes in the hair, so that's interesting. It feels like a manga, a rendering style where it's a gradient of sorts. The line work is suggested for the folds and stuff, but it makes sense, kind of makes sense. It doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to make sense. That's also a good takeaway from this review. I love the facial expressions, or expression, like it's mad, shouting, ah! The sword is kind of wonky, but I don't really care. It looks amazing. Look at those brushy strokes. Very natural looking. All in all, it has a very mixed media look, which is amazing. This is from the One Piece anime. Like, there's so many episodes in One Piece. Like, how can someone catch up to this show? So I'm not gonna watch it, but same vibes, very mixed media-ish. A gradient in the background, interesting. More graphical this one is. I sound like Yoda. Naruto again. I love this. Texture brush, halftone, loose line work or sketch. But the placement of the face, amazing. And not just the face, the hands. It's just it's where it's supposed to be. For the bag, there is no line work. It's handled like a gouache painting, where it's heavy on the shapes and not much line work. One Piece chick, I believe. Oh, this is from the Anya show. This is Anya. I believe I guess this is from a poster. So yeah, you can study like anime screenshots, posters, covers, even other people's fan art. I mean, if it's a study, it's okay. Just mention where you got the reference from. And yeah, I actually want to be able to do like anime types of facial expressions features, because it looks so cool. And again, loose line sketch. Background is blurred as hell. All of it has some grit because of the noise. I mean, look at the flower. It's highly suggested, but you can get that it's a flower or a flower pin, right? It's so amazing. I love the gloves. Yeah, blurs, soft lights here and there, some gradients in the bottom of the chin, and even behind Anya, for this character, you can see like a light thing happening. I guess it helps separate her from the dog, but it's also like a not graphical, but a depth thing. It helps her put, like it feels like she's closer to you. You see this also a lot in watercolor paintings, where the top part or the outer parts are darker than the center or lower parts. So there's like a slight gradient. Interesting. Now the gun effect here is drawn, so that's super cool. A very direct mixed media approach. Much more rendered, but same energy. Same thing. Oh, it's this guy again with the flowers. Or is it the guy? So these are more... Oh shit, it's Demon Slayer. I love Demon Slayer. Bleach and I think so. And Dragon Ball. Now this one's way more painted. Reminds me of another artist. It's a she, I think. I think it's a she. Where it's more vibrant. Or is it a he? I'm thinking of two Japanese artists. One is a chick and one is a guy. They have like super highly rendered or illustrated pieces. I love the flowers. I mean, look at this amazing thing. Look, I think it's painted. Look at that. Wow. No line work. Mostly done through value. Here, there is some line work in the foreground, flowers. But in the background, it's just blurred. Extremely blurred. Lots of that dashy kind of rendering style. Wow. Oh, this one, the hair, there are parts that are more painterly. But I like how the line work is still there. The sketchy line work. Look at that. Amazing. This one feels more like a watercolor effect. Even this, like you can tell it's a rose. Wow, fuck me. Very suggested, very impressionistic, but I like it. Basic sketch, and then with some flats, and then the rendering. Not much light here, maybe this general lighting from the sun, and then more under lighting. You can tell by the umbrella, there's a bit of a light shift gradient under the umbrella, so that's cool. Even here, the ambient stuff, reflected light from say the road or something in front of her. So it's kind of orangey here. Ooh, even the clothes are very... It has a nice fold value range for the folds. Now this one does have a filter. Like, it feels more like a film, I guess. Oh, it's Makima. Ooh. It's kind of hot. The legs were blurred, but it's the same style. Again, the dashy part right here. The placement of the lines is more important than the line quality. and the energy of it. The eyes look amazing. Like she does have these weird. I think she's kind of like a half demon, half angel. I haven't read the manga, but she's very interesting. But yeah, there's a bit of a blur here in the face, or sorry, in this right hand side, and obviously the pants, and even here. So it's very focused in on this area, where the face and the hand. So it adds a bit of depth, and obviously the pants are dark. The lower part of her shoulder, right here, is in shadow. So it does help you bring. It's not just the blur; it's the contrast, the compositional darks here, and then the light thing here. Even the hair is dark, so everything in between this darky, or darky, this dark side, and then this dark side. This part in the middle gets a lot of attention. Right? Light, dark, dark light, dark light. So high contrast too helps with the depth. And graphic elements like blood definitely will pull you in more. Blending tool, I think. Is this Chainsaw Man? I think so. Aki? Oh, this one's different. It's I don't see the line sketch as much. I've seen this character before in Chainsaw Man. Maybe in the upcoming season. Look at the line work. Very sketchy, very loose. The placement again of the lines is much more important. Dashy renderings down for the hair. The fabric here for her tank top, I think. Value range. They're all green, but they're all different types of green. So add a bit of variety for your flat colors. A texture brush to add a bit of grit, and some splatter graphical elements like a splatter brush, and maybe a line here to complete, I guess, the composition. Look at this hair. Again, dashy. And then the blur is also very important. Not very, but it adds an extra bit of depth. And the underlighting, or the reflected lighting, is very prominent in this artist's portfolio too. All in all, it works, and the composition is great. Oh, the hair here, there's hardly any line work for this side of the hair, but in the back there's a bit more. Very interesting. Super cool. So much variation in this artist's work. Kinda hot. Tomboy vibes. Oh no. So these are more graphical elements, or more. The line work is much cleaner here. Interesting. Wow. This one feels again more graphical because of the background, I guess. So it has a bit of everything, so that's cool. But let's go back to Makima here. Just one last peek. It's so nice. I love the blossoms too. Very kawaii. Is that the bomb devil? Who knows? Sword devil in the back, maybe? I mean, look at it. This feels like a complete thing. It feels like a sketch, but it also feels like a wallpaper or poster. So I guess it's because even though the line work isn't that like solid or clean, or maybe it's not as clean, but it's definitely solid. Like it's placed in the right place, even if it's not perfect. I think placement is more important than perfect. Whoa. Genius. I'm helping you. Yeah. So the blurs are definitely still there. The added noise in the end to add a bit of grit overall. The dashy stuff, definitely a notable style thing. The slight gradients, I guess. Oh, there's a bit of shadow in the bottom. Maybe a color dodge effect for the lights. The value range of the face, it doesn't feel painted as much. Maybe just a bit. It's very minimal. It's mostly solid, but with some slight rendering. But the brush strokes themselves are hard to see. The edges of the hair much cleaner. I guess to make room for the background and for the blurred characters behind her. But yeah, look at how something can look finished even if it's more sketchy, right? Amazing. So maybe there was some kind of cleanup. Oh shit, there's another character before Makima. The redhead chick. Right here. Wow, it adds way more depth. Even the way this text is distorted to kind of meet the perspective. Not really, but it goes well with the composition. Like the point is somewhere here, and then it goes psh, 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 like it's all pointing towards one thing. So it feels like it's more tied together. Wow, like everything just works together for this artist, and I recommend you check out this artist's profile, or I'll link all of the links in the description below, and hopefully you enjoyed this art review. And I'm going to really incorporate this vibe into my own work, and I think seeing people like this, seeing artists like this, I think gives me permission to not be as perfect, because analysis paralysis is a thing, because you constantly, like, you're paralyzed because you analyze things too much. And I think seeing more loose sketches, artwork, and seeing like a wide range of work, and just keeping it fun, because when it comes to this artist's portfolio, it just seems super fun to look at. And I guess the takeaway here, aside from the specific art techniques, is to just have fun. If you like anime, draw some fan art. And it's okay if your sketches or illustrations are not as clean, for as long as the idea is there and that you have fun and that you enjoy what you illustrate, right? So hopefully this helps you. I'll see you in the next video.